There comes a moment when your soul whispers before your ears hear, when your heart feels discomfort before your mind understands why. Have you ever asked yourself, why do I feel used, but I can't prove it? That unrest within you is not random, it is divine intuition. A silent alarm placed by Allah in the depth of your fitrah. When someone in your life sees you not as a soul, but as a tool for their agenda, Allah, in His mercy, begins to unfold the signs. He doesn't leave you blind in the darkness of manipulation. There are those who will smile in your presence, but behind their gaze lies calculation. They measure your kindness in what they can extract, not in what they can cherish. But the Creator, Al-Kabir, the All-Aware, knows what is concealed in hearts. He knows what they plan even when you don't. And because you matter to Him, He warns you. Through small moments, unsettling conversations, acts that don't sit right. And suddenly, what felt warm begins to feel cold. The Prophet Muhammad taught us that intentions lie at the root of every action. So when people cloak selfishness with charm, Allah strips away the veil in due time. You begin to see, not through your physical eyes, but through the clarity of Iman. That person who once praised you now avoids supporting you. Their words are smooth, but their actions cut. You give, they take. You bend, they push. And slowly, your soul grows tired, not just from the weight of what you carry, but from the realization that you were never meant to carry it for them. So Allah sends you what the world calls red flags, but what we call ayat, signs, because He is Al-Wali, the protecting friend. And He will not allow someone who turns to Him sincerely to be used without a warning. You don't need to seek revenge. You don't even need to confront. What you need is awareness, du'a, and the courage to walk away before your heart is handed back to you in pieces. Your heart is not cheap. You are not disposable. And when someone begins to treat you as such, know that your Lord is near. He sees what you don't, and He always shows the truth in time. They speak over you, not with you. Every time you try to express your thoughts, you're silenced. Your words hang in the air, unacknowledged, as though your voice carries no weight. This is not humility. This is control disguised as leadership. And in the silence, Allah begins to speak louder. He allows you to feel the suffocation of a one-sided connection, so you can awaken from it. Those who seek only to dominate have no room for dialogue. They want obedience, not understanding. In Islam, leadership is not about imposing power. It's about service, consultation, and mutual respect. The Prophet, the greatest leader, would ask his companions for advice. He would listen, even to those younger or less experienced. Yet today, you find people who claim closeness to you, but treat you like a subordinate in your own life. They want decisions to revolve around their needs, their time, their ideas, and if you disagree, suddenly you're labeled ungrateful, difficult, disloyal. But why is it that your silence makes them comfortable? Why is your discomfort always seen as secondary to their convenience? That imbalance is not just emotional, it is spiritual. Allah created us with dignity, not to be subdued by the dominance of another. When someone begins to craft a space where your presence is needed, but your essence is ignored, that is not love. That is use, and usage, over time, turns into emotional erosion. The believer is not meant to live under tyranny, no matter how soft its disguise. You were not created to be an echo of someone else's desires. You are a creation of Allah, with purpose, intellect, and a voice. And when someone tries to mute that voice, Allah sends discomfort into your soul, not to punish you, but to awaken you. That pressure you feel in their presence, it's not just stress. It's your ruh trying to escape a place where it doesn't belong. So take the hint. The more you shrink to keep the peace, the more you betray the amanah Allah placed in you. He gave you a mind to think, a heart to feel, and a spirit to rise. Do not chain those gifts to someone who only wants to command, not connect. When people stop listening, Allah starts speaking louder through the cracks in their behavior. Listen. There's a quiet pain that comes when you give your best and receive less than your worth. It's not just about feeling underappreciated. It's about being reduced. When your efforts go unseen, your voice unheard, your sacrifices unnoticed, it's not always an accident. Sometimes it's intentional. A person who uses you will always make you feel like your worth is negotiable. But Allah, Ar-Rahman, never created you to be devalued by creation. Look at how Allah honored the human being in the Quran. And we have certainly honored the children of Adam. Surah Al-Isra, 1770. That divine honor is not subject to people's opinions or treatment. And yet, how often do we stay in places, jobs, friendships, even marriages, where our worth is trampled, just to keep the peace? We confuse humility with silence and patience with permission. But to accept less than your value repeatedly is not saber. It is surrendering your soul to someone who does not see it. People who use others are experts at guilt. They convince you that you owe them, even when you're the one sacrificing. They praise your contributions in private, but in public you're invisible. They make you feel as if you're too demanding for wanting basic respect. And slowly, they train you to lower your expectations, to shrink your voice, to silence your needs. But Allah sees, and He is never unjust. Sometimes the sign that you're being used is not in what is said, but in what is withheld. Recognition, support, equal return. These things aren't luxuries. They're signs of mutual care. When they are absent, you must ask yourself, why am I still here? You can't pour into a vessel that only leaks your effort. Allah wants you to honor yourself, not because you are arrogant, but because you are a servant of the most honorable. Even the prophet would withdraw from places where his value was denied. In his own hometown, when they rejected him, he left. He didn't beg for their acceptance. Because when people don't recognize the light within you, you walk before they extinguish it. Know this: anyone who makes you feel replaceable does not deserve your presence. And if they cannot match the respect you offer, they were never meant to be trusted with your heart. You're standing still, but everything around you seems to be moving forward. They are growing, achieving, celebrating, and you are stuck, pouring from an empty cup, wondering why your own path feels so blocked. Progress isn't always loud, but the absence of it speaks volumes. And sometimes that silence is Allah showing you. This connection is not a source of elevation, it is an anchor. When Allah places barakah in a relationship, be it business, friendship, or love, both hearts flourish. Both souls ascend. Even in hardship, there's mutual growth. But when only one side prospers, while the other remains stagnant or worse, regresses, then something is deeply off. Allah is Al-Fattah, the opener of doors, and He does not hold you back without reason. Perhaps you're attached to someone who drains you while filling themselves. Perhaps your effort has become fuel for someone else's success, while your own dreams are quietly fading. People who use others are often experts at performing empathy. They will clap for you just enough to keep you close, but never enough to see you rise. They'll set ceilings on your growth disguised as advice. Maybe this isn't for you. Be patient, your time will come. But what they mean is not while I'm still ahead. And you begin to believe that maybe this delay is from Allah, when in reality the delay is from your misplaced loyalty. The Prophet once told us that a believer is not stung from the same hole twice. When Allah shows you that you are not growing in a space, He is not punishing you. He is revealing the truth. Growth is not just about wealth or recognition. It's about peace, clarity, spiritual movement. If you've lost your spark, your inspiration, your energy, and the only thing you're gaining is exhaustion, this is not divine alignment. It's spiritual misplacement. You were not created to be background support in someone else's story while neglecting your own. Allah designed you with purpose, with skills, with potential. If someone's presence is shrinking your vision, clouding your dreams, or silencing your ambition, then that relationship is not a blessing, it's a distraction. And Allah, in His mercy, removes distractions that delay your destiny, not to hurt you, but to realign you with the path you were always meant to walk. Alone, if necessary. Empowered, always. There is a unique kind of betrayal that doesn't come from words or actions. It comes from energy, from the way someone's presence begins to feel heavier with time, how your peace starts shrinking when they enter the room. You can't always explain it, but your soul knows. That unease you brush aside, that tension you excuse, is often the first sign that someone's intentions aren't pure. And when Allah loves you, He doesn't let you sit too long in that false comfort. He disrupts it. Allah is Al-Basir, the all-seeing. He sees the intentions behind every smile, the motives hidden behind every compliment. People may pretend well, but Allah reveals. He doesn't expose to shame you. He exposes to protect you. Because when someone begins to use you, the first thing they attack is not your dignity, it's your clarity. They confuse you. They praise you, and then punish you. One day, you're needed. The next, you're ignored. You begin to question your worth, thinking the problem is within. But sometimes, the chaos is not yours to carry. It's the reflection of someone else's manipulation. Using others doesn't always look aggressive. Sometimes it comes wrapped in dependency. They need you for advice, for help, for support. But somehow, their growth becomes your exhaustion. Their comfort becomes your burden. And when you need them, silence, distance, excuses. But you forgive it again and again, because your heart is loyal, even when it's breaking. And Allah sees that too. This is when He begins to stir your spirit. The person who once brought joy now drains you. Conversations feel forced. Your du'as begin to include their name less, and your healing more. That shift is divine, because Allah doesn't want you bound to someone who subtracts from your soul. He wants you to preserve your light, your heart, your mission. And if someone dims that for their own ease, know that they are not assigned to your journey. They are a detour. Don't underestimate the signs. The delay in their replies, the avoidance of your needs, the excuses that pile up, these are not coincidences. They are symptoms. And Allah is showing you the disease, not to shame you, but to free you. Because when you belong to Allah, no one has the right to keep you imprisoned in false love or one-sided loyalty. You are meant for sincerity, for mutual upliftment, not quiet suffering in the shadows of someone else's selfishness. Some lessons arrive quietly, wrapped in discomfort and sleepless nights. When you begin to feel more drained than inspired, more anxious than secure, it's not always a sign of weakness. It's often a message from Allah. You weren't created to survive in emotional droughts, nor to be loyal to those who only know how to take. And when you refuse to see it, Allah, out of His mercy, makes it increasingly difficult to stay where you're being used. He makes the sweetness turn bitter. The comfort turns to restlessness. You try harder, give more, pray more, but instead of peace, you receive emptiness. This isn't failure. It's divine protection. Because if you were left in ease, you'd never leave what harms you. Sometimes Allah tightens the space around your heart so that you are forced to break free from people who were never meant to carry your soul. Reflect on the story of Prophet Yusuf, alayhi salam. He was used by his own brothers, betrayed, thrown into a well, sold like a possession. But what happened? Allah elevated him, not despite the betrayal, but through it. Because betrayal is never the end for a believer. It's a transition, a redirection, a reminder that the only one worthy of your complete trust is the one who never needs you to prove your worth. Being used doesn't make you foolish, it makes you human. But staying used, after Allah has shown you the signs, that's where the pain deepens. Not because Allah didn't warn you, but because you chose to silence His whispers. The restless heart, the unanswered dua, the signs in your dreams, the Quran ayah that hits too close to home. These are not random. These are messages, divine alerts that your soul is not safe where it is. So now, you stand at the crossroads. Do you continue to pour your energy into someone who only sees you as a resource? Or do you choose to rise with dignity and trust that whatever you lose for the sake of your soul, Allah will replace with something far greater? The answer is already within you, and so is the strength. If you felt something shift in your heart today, don't let it fade. Reflect, reconnect, and above all, trust Allah more than your fears. He never takes without giving back better. If this message resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and join us as we continue exploring the depths of the soul through the light of the Quran and Sunnah. Barakallahu fikum.